Hey, it's Sparky Fifer, 1250 a.m. The Fan, beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The sun is shining. It looks so nice outside. I haven't been outside in a while. I'm guessing it's still cold outside, though. Nathan Marzion, he is here. And you can follow him at Nathan Marzion. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Check out Wisconsin Sports Daily, our afternoon show on The Fan from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. Always talking Bucks. In fact, I had a caller today said, man, everybody in this town's talking about the draft. At least you are talking about the Bucks after Bucks playoff game last night. That's right. That's exactly right. Now, Thursday, we'll probably talk some NFL draft. We have Gilbert Brown on the show, Peter Bukowski from Locked On Packers podcast on a Thursday show as well. Plus, we have somebody at the draft from the Odyssey cluster here in Milwaukee. So some draft talk for sure on Thursday. Nathan Marzion, my buddy, my pal, did the Potawatomi Sportsbook Pro Hoops post-game show, served up by Wendy's. I will have to tell you, because of how our relationship has blossomed beautifully doing this podcast over the last couple of years, as I do the show, in the back of my head, I'm thinking of what you would be telling me as I'm on the air and what your counters may be coming back at me and so forth. I feel like it makes me better prepared to do this podcast now because I feel like I've already done it, in my head at least, prior to actually coming and sitting down and doing it with you now. So I think the podcasts are going to get much better because I do a practice rehearsal now before we get to it. All right, Marzion. Pacers decided to press the Bucks in the fourth quarter last night. The Bucks looked like an elementary school team with Bobby Portis with the ball over his head, not knowing what to do with it as soon as they saw the full court press. And that really kind of ended up being the difference in the game in that fourth quarter. The Bucks couldn't figure out how to handle it. Plus, they were retiring Damian Lillard out, I think, in the process by continuing to make him have to, find his way up court and continue to pressure him. That, I think, was the biggest difference. Plenty of other things to talk about, but that's my main difference from that game.
Yeah, they definitely fell apart in the fourth. There were several times in the second half where, the second half starts, you go down. They were down 5. They go immediately down 11 or 13 to come out of the half. And then it was a few different times of getting it down to 2 or 1 and feeling like you're just about to get back over the hump. And then the Pacers would, bring it back to 10. And it happened a couple times. And then, of course, in the fourth, they really blew it open, got it up to 20 or something after the Bucks had gotten it down to, I think, 1 or 3. Definitely a frustrating one where you just couldn't get over the hump a few times. And yeah, they pressed them and they definitely brought the pressure defensively. And I just think overall the Bucks, this was a game they lost in the 2-point area. Both teams shot pretty well from 3. Dame shot well from 3. Brooks shot well from 3. Not many other guys did, but they did a good chunk of the shooting. And obviously Indiana shot well from 3. So both teams shot over 40% from 3. Neither one had a huge advantage there. And it was really just the 2-point percentages that were very drastically different. The Pacers shot 63% from 2 and the Bucks shot 46% from 2. And it was just a game where, we did not have much rim protection. Brook can do as much as he can, but it felt like they didn't have much rim protection and they don't have much rim pressure. There's not many guys that can get to the rim on this team when Giannis isn't there. Besides, Dame can get there every now and then. He can blow past his guy and get to the rim, but who else in this team is really getting to the rim? Brook doesn't do that consistently. Chris doesn't do that much. And obviously none of the bench guys are really guys that you can rely on getting to the rim. So the Bucks just don't get a ton of shots at the rim. And it results in, the Pacers getting a ton of them at the, and then the Pacers on the other end get a ton of them at the rim. So I think the 2-point shots we were taking, us versus the Pacers, were very different. We were taking more mid-range and either Bobby post-ups or Chris post-ups type of shots from 2, whereas they were getting a lot of their 2-point looks from the restricted area. And, so theirs were just higher efficiency shots. And like I said, the Bucks didn't have much rim protection and not much rim pressure. That's something that I can think of one player that helps both of those things, but we hope he comes back soon. And he can also defend Siakam, who's been absolutely killing them. Siakam just seems to be too quick for Brook and Bobby, and then too big for other guys. Pretty much anyone else on the roster. So it's just kind of a bad matchup right now, not having Giannis, and it's a situation that you hope Giannis can come back at some point here to really help them out, because it looks like right now the biggest issues can all be solved by 34 coming back.
This is the thing. I'm going to bring up the same thing I brought up with you a million times. I brought it up on the post-game show last night. I brought it up on Wisconsin Sports Daily today, and I'm going to bring it up here. You couldn't score at the rim, yet you did not choose at any point to put Brook Lopez down in the block to see what would happen, to see if Siakam was switched on him and possibly draw fouls on Siakam, to possibly just body Siakam to get in there to score. And I understand Brook Lopez was on fire for 3 in the first half. I understand. But when Giannis is out and you don't have anybody else down there taking up space, let Bobby sit out there in the corner. Right? Let Pat see and AJ Green sit out there. Because as soon as Lopez makes 2 or 3, eventually they're going to bring a second guy. And once that second guy comes, then you just pitch it out, hit a cutter coming to the rim, whatever. Old school basketball. I know. But that should have been the adjustment made by Doc. And nobody in today's NBA probably would have done the adjustment either. I'm the only one. And that's fine. I'm just saying you have a guy that was one of the best in the game around the rim years ago before Bud got his hands on him, and try to take him out so Giannis had more room to work. I understand why they did it. But in instances when Giannis is not on that floor and you can't score, it makes all the sense. It slows the game down. They hit a big shot. They get momentum. Instead of running down and jacking up a 3 with 4 seconds taking off the shot clock, missing, they run out and transition the other way. That just keeps the momentum and keeps the crowd in it. If I come down, I bounce it down to Brook Lopez, let him take his time. He scores from 5 feet. Crowd sits down. And now they get taken out of a made basket and they have to bring it back up. And it was never even attempted. It's frustrating, Marzion.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we've agreed on this a lot. We're trying to get Brook those shots down low. And I mean, he took 6, I was looking at the numbers. He took 6 2-point attempts and 7 3-point attempts. And, again, when you're struggling to get to the rim, when you're struggling to generate some offense besides threes, that's something you should be going to. That's something that should be in your arsenal. And it just doesn't seem like, even in the Bud days, just never felt like they do that enough.
I'll tell you what else drives me nuts. Brook Lopez out of the 3-point line, putting the ball on the floor and running full steam at the rim and throwing up a whole prayer at the rim. So it's just some of the 2-point shots that you saw. How does anybody on that coaching staff think that is a successful play that we like our odds of him completing? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And I don't
like this. I agree. This is going well so far for me. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like we're agreeing on everything so far. But I don't want to point too much at Brook, because I don't think Brook's like the biggest issue, with this game or anything. Like, he made 6 threes. And defensively, it's like when I think on both ends, it's almost like Brook it's very reliant on how you use him, and I think that's most of people's complaints, is when he's all the way out on the 3-point line all the time. Like, I don't think that that's just by his choice. I think that's a lot sometimes just how their offenses run or how they're deciding to use him. And then same with on the defensive end, when he's giving up buckets or when he's looking poorly on that end. I think a lot of the times it's because of either how he's being used or how the rest of the defense is playing or being used. Because if they're allowing guys to penetrate and get into the paint a ton and get floaters and get all that stuff, well, yeah, Brook's going to get scored on a lot. Brook's going to get scored. Like, there's guys going to score over him, and he's not able to maneuver around the perimeter much. So it's just like, I just think he's largely a product of how you're using him on both ends. And, in this game, again, he, in the first half, fine. He hit a bunch of threes. You're fine with that. You understand it. But I thought in the second half, he wasn't used very well. And I mean, again, from both of your bigs, Bobby was very bad in this game. Bobby's probably the number one guy that, if I'm picking one guy of like who disappointed me the most or who was the biggest reason that they looked poorly, it was Bobby, because he was pretty bad on both ends and took some dumb shots at times. There was the play where they got within 1 in the third and they get it down to Bobby, and he kind of spins around, does this half post up thing and throws up I think it was like a one-handed, hook shot type of thing. Yeah. And barely hit the front iron. And it just was like, damn, those are you have the momentum, you're trying to get over the hump, get the lead. And just to see a possession like that was disappointing. And yeah, I was very disappointed with Bobby's performance overall. Had a couple moments, but he wasn't able to score as much as you wanted him to. And then on the defensive end, he was, pretty big liability. So
what about Doc's comments after the game? When Doc Rivers, the post-game press conference, when asked about Portis, said, we wanted to get him involved more than we did tonight, and we have to kind of work on that going forward. They wanted him more involved than he already was inside of this offense. I immediately thought of you and thought maybe you started to start sweating and cringing and thinking, oh my God, what is Doc doing? But that was surprising to me because I agree with you. I don't think Bobby played well. He played worse than I expected him to play in that game. And then to hear Doc say we wanted him involved more than we actually had him involved, that was kind of surprising to me.
I don't have a problem with him needing or with them planning to involve him a lot when Giannis is out, because you need that scoring to come from somewhere. And he is, one of the few guys outside of, Dame, Chris, and Brooke sometimes to give you scoring. None of those other guys are reliable scorers. And so I don't have a problem with that. Like I just thought he wasn't good. And when you look at how he played, do I look at that game and say, man, I wish they got Bobby more involved? No. But I think going into the game, I understand that being your game plan of like, we really need, obviously we know Dame's going to do his thing and shoot a lot and he's going to be involved. But other than that, we need Chris and Bobby to kind of be our guys that are involved a lot, shooting a lot. And I think both of those guys could have been, Chris could have been involved a little bit more. He took 14 shots. Bobby took 16. And, I didn't think Chris forced it too much. It just felt like there maybe could have been a few more possessions that went to Chris maybe instead of Bobby, because Bobby just, I don't know, when he's on, he's really on, but it felt like a game where he wasn't on. And it was just like, okay, I trust Chris more in these post-up situations to hit a fadeaway jumper than I do Bobby, or Bobby to hit whatever shot he throws up. Because again, he was shooting some weird shots. Like he was shooting some floaters and some, like I said, that turnaround, twirling hook shot thing that I was just like, I don't even know what that was.
Prayer.
So
that's a prayer.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ultimately both of those guys, you needed a little bit more from if you were going to win this game. It wasn't just going to be Dame and Brooke to be able to get this win. So you're going to need a little bit more from both of them. And I think Bobby is I said it before the series. I think he's a big X factor in this series while Giannis is out, because again, that's a big portion of the scoring that you need from him. And if Dame gets blanketed, it's going to be even tougher on him. So like in the second half, you really needed him to step up, and just didn't really give you a whole lot besides a few moments. So yeah, and I think using him, we talk about using, trying to get in the paint, use your size. Like again, I don't mind them having that when Doc says they plan on using him more, and they like in this type of game, I don't mind that. I don't mind saying, hey, Bobby, we want to get him post ups. We want to get him in the paint. We want to get him, being physical and get him down low. Like that makes sense to me. When you're trying to get 2-point shots, give it to Bobby Portis and try to see what he can do. But it's got to be in the right situation. It's got to be, and if he doesn't have it and if he's struggling, then okay, go away from him a little bit, because when he's struggling and getting the ball a lot, that's when he becomes kind of detrimental to the team, as he's taking bad shots and he's struggling and he's really killing you out there. So it's just something that you kind of got to see how he's playing.
All right, we take a quick time out, come back on the other side. I want to talk about Damian Lillard because he's catching some heat too after game 2. And he caught heat after game 1 as well. Not from me, but from others, especially the national talking heads. I want to talk about Damian Lillard's performance in game 1 and game 2 straight ahead here on the Green and Growing podcast. He's Nathan Marzion. Follow him at Nathan Marzion. Follow me at Sparky Radio on Twitter. And don't forget, you can download this wildly successful podcast on your Odyssey app, or if you download your favorite podcast app. You can also check us out on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page. Hey, it's Sparky Fifer, 1250 AM The Fan, host of the Potawatomi Sportsbook Pro Hoops post-game show after every Milwaukee Bucks game on 1250 AM The Fan. Also checking out weekday afternoons on Wisconsin Sports Daily from 2 until 5. Follow me on Twitter at Sparky Radio. There is Nathan Marzion. Follow him at Nathan Marzion. Damian Lillard has been a beast in first half of games. He was a beast again in game 2 in the first half. In the second half, he got 8 points. In the second half of game 1, he got 0 points. And now this has become the new narrative about why Damian Lillard isn't working in Milwaukee, because he only gives him a half. That's all he gives him. And then he disappears in second half of games. How much of this are you worried about, concerned about going forward in the playoffs, about Lillard not being that same guy in the second half so far of 2 games as he has been in the first half of 2 games?
I mean, it's nothing to worry about long term. It's expected that he's going to not put up the same numbers in the second half as he does in the first half when he goes nuclear in the first half and he's the number one option. You're going to throw more attention at him. You're going to adjust your defense to stop him more. And he's expecting that. So he's going to be looking to get others involved. Like, that's part of the game. And that's part of, but when Giannis is back, whenever that is, if Giannis is back, that will completely change this, because you can't all of a sudden play a whole half where if you do, good luck, because Giannis is going to feast, but you can't play a whole half where you're really focused, blanketing Dame, pressuring up on Dame, because you have another insane scorer in Giannis. But when Dame's the only one out there between him and Giannis, yeah, this can happen. And when you put up 35 and 26 points in the first half, teams are going to say, okay, just take him away, make anyone else beat you. And that's basically what they've done. And now the first quarter, or the first game, second half, I don't care. They were up 20 points. That game was not a game where Dame needed to get going, or they really needed his offense, and he needed to be aggressive. I had no problem with him scoring 0 points in that second half. If that game got super close, or they lost the game and he scored 0 points in the second half, yes, I'd be a little bit more like, okay, how did he, that can't happen. That was a very understandable time for that to happen. And then in game 2, I think it's still a little bit overblown, because in the third quarter, he had 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting, which is not bad. That's on pace for 32 points over a full game. An 8-point quarter is normal. 3 of 6 is normal. Good shooting. In the fourth quarter, he came in, played 6 minutes, and didn't score, because, by that time, he came in, they were blanketing him. It's the fourth quarter. Pacers were up, and it was one of those make other guys beat you type of things. So I'm like, he had basically a bad fourth quarter in game 2. It wasn't like he sucked for an entire half. And so I think it's a little bit I think it's a lot overblown when you look at how the first game, second half didn't really matter at all, that he didn't shoot much. And he was fine in the third quarter of game 2. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. To me, he is literally the last person I'm putting blame on for these 2 games. Like,
yes, I'm with you.
He's the one that kept you in the game,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm completely with you. Now, this next person I'm going to bring up, I'm done with.
And wait, and really quick, can I just point out too, fatigue is a thing. I don't care who you are. Fatigue is a thing. And if you're carrying a team and you're getting hounded from full court every single possession, and you're bringing the ball up every single possession doing that, you're going to be a little tired by the third, fourth quarter. That's why they had to sit him the end of the third and the beginning of the fourth. Is the dude's tired, and the dude is not going to be able to do as much, blow by guys as much, shoot as much when he's tired. And so you just have to understand that as well. These guys aren't robots. They can't just do the exact same thing every single quarter, every single play. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
All right, this next dude I'm done with. I'm done. I don't need to see him anymore on the floor. We can move on. That's your Marquette guy, Jay Crowder. I'm done. I'm all done. And a caller brought it up last night on the post-game show on 1250 AM The Fan, and he said, if that's what it's going to be, I'd rather have Andre Jackson Jr. out there. He can't shoot well, fine, but neither can Crowder, apparently. But he's going to hustle. He's going to give you energy. He's going to give you something. He'll help you back in transition defense. Maybe he can link out and get you an easy basket. Going the other way when you're on offense, he could provide an energy boost. I'm there. I'm with the guy. I wish I could give him credit. I don't remember who it was, but I am there. I think I'm fine with that switch. And I know Andre Jackson may foul somebody 3 times in 45 seconds. I know it could happen. I'm well aware. But at this point, I've seen enough of Jay Crowder.
Yeah. At this point, I don't see why you don't at least try the switch. Because you're not losing anything by not having Jay Crowder out there. Now, if Andre Jackson comes in and immediately is fouling and just looks like, okay, this dude doesn't belong, fine. You can go back to a little bit of Jay Crowder, because if Andre's showing he's not ready to play. But yeah, he looks very, very bad on both ends of the court and just is not really giving you anything. Is there a chance he turns it around? I guess, but we have not seen a single thing to give us hope that he will turn it around. And yeah, he just doesn't seem like he's the guy that can guard Siakam. Like I said, it just seems like Siakam has been too big for guys like Jay and Chris, and even a little too fast for those guys. But then he's definitely too fast for Bobby and Brooke, and it's just like it's a bad matchup. It's someone that we don't have a guy with both the size and the agility / quickness to stay with him. Now that guy is on the team, he just is not playing right now. But yeah, Jay has been very disappointing. Not that I, I don't think many people expected him to be great or be this fantastic player. Like, people were down on him in the regular season too, but it's just been frustrating to see him and Malik Beasley too. Last game was awful. So to see those two guys struggle as much as they did is just not a good sign, because it's going to be tougher and tougher to win when these bench guys are not playing well, because your team is top heavy. Your team really is reliant on your top four, and your number one of those top four is out. So you need someone on the bench, some guys on the bench to make up for it. When Bobby, Jay, and Malik play as bad as they did, you're not winning. You're not going to win that game.
So do you think it's a wake-up call that AJ Green gets the minutes, Malik doesn't? And then Doc, after the game, pretty much said he didn't look good. I liked AJ Green's effort, his energy. I was texting with AJ Green after game one saying, got some wide open shots. You're going to see him go in game two. You'll see. That didn't happen. But that's why he played AJ Green. So either Beasley's going to respond like Lillard did about the defense when he got yanked out earlier in the year in a clutch situation. I mean, like, screw this. You are not going to question me on my effort. This is not happening again in the playoffs, and go out there and ball. Or he's not, and he's not going to get any minutes, and AJ Green is going to get those minutes going forward. Now, I know Marzion Beauchamp's not getting those minutes, no matter what he does. So it's going to be AJ Green and Pat Connaughton taking those minutes of Malik Beasley, and Beasley doesn't give more effort. And the thing that blows my mind is it's the damn playoffs. It's the playoffs. You came here to Milwaukee to chase a ring, and then the head coach is questioning your effort and energy and not looking good in a playoff game, and you play 5 minutes, and you came here to win a ring. Like, act like it, Malik. Act like it. That's my concern in a playoff game when a head coach is calling out your effort of why you played 5 minutes and played the kid in front of you in the second half. That's not good.
Now, Malik is not someone that I'm crossing off completely. As far as guys that can make an impact, guys that can, play, because we did see him have good minutes in game one.
Yep.
We saw him hit some shots. We saw him hit some big shots. And so it was like, okay, cool. I'm glad Malik is hitting shots. Now, he's definitely a guy that, and again, I think I said this going into the playoffs. I'm sure, many people have said this, but I just don't think he's a guy that you can consistently play every single game. And I do like that Doc is willing to. I think this is something that Bud would not have done, which is go to a younger guy, go to the guy that, give him a chance while Malik is struggling. And in a game where Malik, you can clearly see from the jump, you could see Malik did not have it. And it was like, this is not his night. He is struggling. He's making bad decisions. He's airballing a three. Like, this is not his night. Don't be afraid to go to, AJ Green on the bench and give him a shot. Now, AJ wasn't fantastic, but he was better than Malik. And he at least hit a couple shots, and AJ Green is the best on the team at staying in front of guys. Like,
correct.
He gets scored over sometimes, but he is the best at staying in front. His effort is very good. So, like, I like that Doc at least gave him a chance, changed it up, and wasn't just stubborn saying, no, I trust Malik and I'm going with Malik and I'm riding that out. Now, again, your options are a little bit limited. You don't have. It's not like you have 4 good options on the bench to just, we'll just throw one of these guys in. Like, when these guys are struggling, you still have to play some of them. You have to play, between Pat, Crowder, Malik, you got to play kind of 1 or 2 of those guys at least. So you can't just take all these guys out of the lineup. But it's good to see AJ Green get some minutes, and hopefully his confidence can grow, as he gets time, and his just being comfortable in the playoff moment can grow. And again, I want to see the same thing with Andre Jackson. I want to see Doc say, hey, Jay Crowder, you're playing very bad right now, like Malik was. Okay, we're going to throw in Andre Jackson and see if he can give us some better minutes, and at least try that out. So good sign that he was doing it with AJ Green. I just want to see it with Andre Jackson as well. Because again, if these guys are struggling, if these vets are struggling, you're not losing anything by taking them out of there. Like, they're playing like garbage regardless. So at least give someone else a chance, see if they can provide some type of spark.
Take a quick time out. I will come back on the other side. We got to talk about Tyrese Halliburton. have to talk about Tyrese Halliburton before we wrap up this podcast. That's up next. Don't forget, download the Green and Growing podcast on your Odyssey app, wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Check us out on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page as well. Back after a moment. Hey, it's Sparky Fifer, 1250 AM The Fan, along with my guy Nathan Marzion. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Follow him at Nathan Marzion as we record here on Wednesday evening. Normally we record on Thursdays, but the NFL draft is Thursday, so no sense doing it then. We'll do it tonight, and then maybe we'll do another one this weekend or a Monday. We'll see how this whole thing plays out over the weekend. I got my kid's first communion on Sunday, so it's going to be a crazy weekend for me at the house. Okay, Nathan Marzion, Tyrese Halliburton, Wisconsin's home, decided to take shots at the Bucks fans, saying that pretty much, hey, man, regular season games with better energy and stuff from our crowd than what I saw here in Milwaukee for 2 games. Thoughts?
As Luka Doncic said, everybody act tough when they up. I think and Bobby Portis called this out in the post game. That dude is a front runner, and that dude talks a lot of crap and just a lot of BS and all this stuff when his teams are winning and when his team already has a game wrapped up or when they're up by 15. But as soon as they're down, he's not talking so much.
He didn't say anything on the first game.
Nothing, not a word. He was quiet as a mouse. But all of a sudden they get up in the second game and you see him and Bobby Portis are getting into it. And it's like, dude, of course you're talking now because you're up 15. But yeah, they're very annoying and very just like whatever. You can credit your own crowd without disrespecting our crowd. Like, there's people online saying, "Oh, he's right. Our crowd sucked." Our crowd was not that bad. Our crowd was fine. Our crowd.
Were you at game 2 as well?
Yeah.
So you went to both games. I know you were at game 1. Okay. Mm-hmm. So my first thing I'd like to address with you is your little thing on Twitter that irritated me about the dumb shirts. Listen, there's nothing more stupid than this shirt thing. They do it at college sports. They do it at pro sports. They do it at high school sports. They do it everywhere. It's made for TV. That's it. It doesn't affect the opposing team 1 iota at all. Means absolutely nothing to anybody. Waving a towel, maybe it distracts a guy from shooting a free throw. I could see that. Or guy shooting a 3 or a basket, waving that towel out of your quarter eye, you see it. Maybe that happens. I prefer noisemakers. Did you ever see the movie Karate Kid?
Yeah, but a long time ago.
I think it was Karate Kid 2. And I don't remember what they're called. I should Google it. But remember, you hold on to it, and it's got like a drum at the top of the stick. And then it's got these little things, and you rub it between your hands. It goes bing, 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 and hits the drum and makes noise. And it was at the end, I think, of Karate Kid 2. Give me a bunch of those. Hand those out. Put BMO's logo on that drum or whatever, and have everybody doing that. Obviously, they're not going to allow cowbells anymore like they used to back in the day when the Sacramento Kings played. But give me noisemakers. T-shirts, what the hell are T-shirts going to do? They aren't going to do nothing. They don't make noise. They don't distract anybody. It's a way for them to make money, which God bless them for getting money from Jockey for making those T-shirts. But other than that, it's absolutely pointless, Nathan.
See, I think you should do both. I think you should get noise. OKC does this, not all the time, but I know there were playoff games in the past where they would get a shirt and they'd also get these clapper things where it makes noise when you clap it. And it's awesome. And I'm just saying, it looks awesome when everyone puts on the shirts. It's a united, like we're all in this together type of thing.
You are all together. You all paid a boatload of money for a playoff ticket. You're already in it together, Nathan.
I will say, and you can say it doesn't affect the opponent 1 iota, and I don't think it affects them much. I'm not acting like this makes a difference in the game or anything like that. But I think it does. If an opposing player walks out, and if you're walking into Oracle Arena and every single person in that arena is wearing gold, and you're like, holy cow, like it is me against every person in this arena. Like there's a feeling there of like, okay, like it's intimidating a little bit. Now, I'm not acting like this makes some 10-point difference in the game, but I just think it is a cool thing. I want it. It's such an easy thing to do. This isn't like we're asking people to go far out of their way to put on a t-shirt. Like it's such an easy thing to be a part of and to participate in it and to get people to contribute to, but that's why it makes me frustrated that people don't do it. It's like, just put on the shirt. It's not hard to do. Just put on the shirt. It takes 2 seconds. So that's my gripe with it. And So I'm glad people did wear the shirts. I was glad that they got a lot of people to wear them. But I mean, I agree. If I had to choose between anything, yes, I'd choose something that makes noise because that'll make the biggest impact on the game.
So let's see
Yeah,
what the
like I said,
Pacers do. Let's see if the Pacers hand out noisemakers to make that atmosphere louder than what happened in Milwaukee. Because I'll tell you right now, if it's just shirts in Indiana and that's all they got, there's no way that crowd's louder than Milwaukee. No chance.
were you watching both on TV?
Yeah.
Did it seem loud?
Yes. Game one,
Okay,
especially, was very loud.
I wanted to make sure because I'm like, I mean, have I heard louder crowds? Yes, but was it like dead silent in there? No, I mean the place was rocking when it needed to be, and when when the team was playing well, like they were getting up, they were really getting into it. So yeah, like that's why I'm like Halliburton can say whatever he wants, but like there were not regular season crowds that were louder than that. So I thought the crowd was fine. Again, I'm not going to act like it was. I don't think it was amazing. I don't think it was like this is the best playoff crowd I've ever been to in my life. But it was good. It was good enough that I was not disappointed by the crowd.
This is the thing. I said it on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Mr. Halliburton, you are coming back for Game 5. No matter what happens in Indianapolis, you're coming back here one more time, minimum. You're coming back here. And if you didn't hear them before, you're going to hear them now. Promise you, buddy, you're going to hear them. He is Nathan Marzion. Follow him on Twitter at Nathan Marzion. You can follow me at Sparky Radio. Yes, Nathan?
I'm going to put this out there in case this does come to fruition. But I want to ask. So if the Bucks, let's say, hope not, but let's say the Bucks go down 3-1.
Yeah.
And they come back to Milwaukee, because you mentioned, you're going to have to come back to Milwaukee for Game 5 regardless. Let's say the Bucks are down 3-1, worst case scenario, coming back to Milwaukee. But Giannis is returning for Game 5. So you've got 3 games. You got to win all 3 with Giannis. Do you give them a shot to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I agree. And I'm just saying this now. Well, it's still 1-1.
I'll be very nervous, but I'll give them a shot. Yeah. Yes.
Well, of course. But I'd still be like, they could do this. You win Game 5 at home with Giannis back. You just have to go win a Game 6 on the road, and you're back in Milwaukee for Game 7. Like, it's not crazy. Now, again, that's worst case scenario. But I just wanted to put that out there now so that if that does happen, and I'm up here saying, hey, I think they can still win this series, I think that they still have a shot, I'm not just sounding like I'm biased homer. I genuinely believe right now, even if they go down 3-1, like, if they get Giannis back, they could win 3 in a row. With how these matchups are going, like, I think Giannis will make a world of a difference. So, obviously the goal, get 1 out of 2 in Indy, tie the series up and come back to Milwaukee best of 3 with your home court. That is 100% the goal. But to me, like, even if they lose both, to me, the season is not over yet. Like, I still think if you can get Giannis back, they could still win that series. So, and I think, again, having those 2 at home with what Halliburton said now, if you have a Game 5 and a Game 7 at home, if you have a Game 7 at home with what Halliburton said, it'll be jumping. So, I'm just putting that out there now that I think that they could come back from 3-1 if they need to with Giannis.
I agree 1,000%. He is Nathan Marzion. Follow him at Nathan Marzion and follow me at Sparky Radio. We'll talk to you next, coming up Friday afternoon. Yes, 4:30 tip. How stupid. 4:30 tip Friday afternoon. Once that one's done, you make the switch to 12:50 a.m. The Fan Potawatomi Sportsbook Pro Hoops post-game show will be on and taking your calls, playing back the Doc Rivers press conference. After the Bucks win, we'll play back one of the players, whoever goes to the podium, and it's going to be a fun time. Talk to you then. Have a good rest of your day. Toodles.